I was standing in the kitchen when I heard her tell my daughter that Mommy doesn't love her anymore. My hands froze over the pot of jollof rice I was stirring. Through the gap in the door I could see my mother-in-law, Mama Grace, kneeling beside my 6-year-old Blessing, her voice soft as honey. "Your Mommy is just tired, my dear. She doesn't smile like she used to. Maybe she's forgotten how to be happy with us." Blessing's small face crumpled. My heart shattered. But when I pushed the door open, Mama Grace was already standing, that warm smile plastered across her face. "Ah, Helen, I was just telling Blessing how much you work so hard for this family. Such a good mother you are." The neighbours called her a saint. The church called her Mother of Faith. My husband called her the best woman he'd ever known. But the woman they adored was the reason I stopped sleeping at night. It didn't start with poison in my food or curses shouted across the compound. No, Mama Grace was far too clever for that. Her weapons were softer, quieter, the kind that left no visible scars but made you question your own mind. When David and I got married 7 years ago, everyone said I was blessed. "You're marrying into a good family," my own mother told me. "Mama Grace raised that boy well. She'll treat you like her daughter." For the first few months I believed it. She helped me cook. She taught me how David liked his clothes folded. She smiled at me during church service and held my hand when we prayed. When I got pregnant with Blessing a year later, she was there for every step. I thought I had won a lottery that most Nigerian wives never win, a kind mother-in-law. But then small things started happening. I would mention that I wanted to visit my parents in Ibadan, and she would sigh deeply. "Helen, you know David has been so stressed at work. He needs you here. Family first, my dear." When I bought a new dress, she would look at it and say, "Oh, it's nice. But you know, David's ex-girlfriend Sarah used to wear things like this. I hope he doesn't think you're trying too hard." She never raised her voice. She never insulted me directly, but every word felt like a tiny needle under my skin. One evening, I cooked a goosey soup for dinner. I'd spent hours preparing it, making sure everything was perfect. David loved a goosey. Mama Grace tasted it and smiled. "It's good, Helen. Very good. But you know, the way I taught you, with a little less palm oil, would make David enjoy it more. He's used to my style." David looked up from his plate. "Mummy is right. It's a bit oily." I stared at the soup I had laboured over. My throat tightened, but I said nothing. The next week, I made it exactly how she suggested. She tasted it again and frowned. "Ah, this one is too dry now. Helen, cooking is about balance. You'll learn." David didn't even look at me. He just ate in silence. I started noticing a pattern. Every time I did something right, she found a way to correct it. Every time David praised me, she added a quiet comment that dimmed the light. "Helen is really trying," she'd say to visitors, her tone dripping with pity. Marriage is not easy for young women these days. They didn't grow up learning how to manage a home like we did. People would nod sympathetically, looking at me like I was a struggling child. When I complained to David, he laughed it off. "Mummy is just trying to help you, Helen. She loves you. Why are you being so sensitive?" Sensitive. That word became his favourite. The worst part was how everyone adored her. At church, she was the first to arrive and the last to leave. She prayed for the sick, counselled the troubled, and donated money to every cause. Pastor John called her a pillar of the faith. Our neighbours would stop her in the street to greet her. "Mama Grace, you are a blessing. God will reward you." And she would smile humbly, her voice soft. "I'm just doing my best. It's all God's grace." But at home, in the spaces between her prayers and her smiles, I was slowly disappearing. She began inviting people over without telling me. I would come home from the market to find the sitting room full of guests, and Mama Grace serving them drinks. "Oh, Helen, you're back. I didn't know when you'd return, so I just managed small. Don't worry, go and rest. You look tired." The guests would glance at me with concern, and I could see the question in their eyes. Why is this wife so careless? Why didn't she prepare for visitors? I wanted to scream that I didn't know they were coming. But Mama Grace's gentle smile silenced me. One Sunday, I wore a dress I had been saving for months to buy. It was beautiful, modest, and it made me feel like myself again. At church, Mama Grace looked at me and gasped softly, "Helen, that dress is lovely, but I thought you said you didn't have money to contribute to the building fund last week." The women around us turned to look. I felt my face burn with shame. I bought this a while ago, I stammered. She nodded slowly, her smile sad. I see. Well, we all have our priorities. That afternoon, David asked me why I embarrassed his mother at church. She was just concerned, Helen. You made it seem like we're suffering, then you show up in an expensive dress. What will people think? I didn't buy another dress for myself for 8 months. Mama Grace started spending more time with Blessing. At first I was grateful. I thought it was normal for a grandmother to bond with her grandchild. But then Blessing started saying strange things. Grandma says you shout too much, Mommy. Grandma says Daddy is sad because of you. Grandma says I should pray for you to be a better wife. My daughter was 6 years old, and she was being taught to pity me. One night I tucked Blessing into bed and asked her gently, "Did Grandma say Mommy doesn't love you?" Blessing hesitated, then nodded. My hands trembled as I kissed her forehead. "That's not true, my love. Mommy loves you more than anything in this world." But I could see the confusion in her eyes. She didn't know who to believe. I went to the bathroom, locked the door, and cried until my chest ached. When I came out, Mama Grace was standing in the hallway. "Helen, are you okay? I heard you crying." Her voice was full of concern. Her eyes were warm, but I saw it then. Just for a second, a flicker of satisfaction. She knew exactly what she was doing. I couldn't sleep that night. I lay beside David, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. If I spoke again, I would need proof. The next morning, I stopped reacting. When Mama Grace made a comment about my cooking, I smiled and said, "Thank you, Ma." When she sighed about how tired David looked, I nodded and said nothing. When she rearranged the kitchen cabinets I had just organized, I let her. At first, she seemed pleased. She thought she had won, but then I started watching. Really watching. I noticed how she only corrected me when David was around, how she only cried when there were witnesses, how her helpful suggestions always made me look incompetent. I started writing things down. Dates, words, patterns. Monday she told the neighbour I didn't know how to budget. Wednesday she told Pastor's wife I was too proud to accept advice. Friday she told David I was keeping Blessing away from her. None of it was true, but she said it all with such sweetness that no one questioned her. She grew bolder. One evening she accidentally spilled water on the dress I was planning to wear to a wedding. "Oh, Helen, I'm so sorry. I didn't see it there. You know my eyes are not so sharp anymore." The dress was ruined. I had no time to buy another. I wore an old outfit to the wedding, and Mama Grace whispered to the other women, "She doesn't take care of herself anymore. Marriage has stressed her." I smiled through it all. Another week, she told David I had been rude to her that morning. I hadn't even seen her that morning. I had left early for a hospital appointment. David confronted me when I got home. "My mother said you insulted her." "I wasn't even here this morning, David. So you're calling her a liar?" I looked at him, this man I had loved, and realized he would always choose her. "No," I said quietly. "I'm just telling you I wasn't here." He walked away, frustrated. Mama Grace announced that we would be hosting a family Thanksgiving in 2 weeks. She didn't ask me. She simply informed me. "It will be a small gathering, Helen. Just close family. Maybe 30 people. 30 people. Small." She took over the planning completely. She invited the guests. She decided the menu. She assigned tasks to everyone except me. When people asked what I was contributing, she would sigh. "Helen is still learning. I don't want to stress her." I said nothing. I just watched. 3 days before the event, I overheard her on the phone with David's uncle. "I'm worried about her, Uncle Ben. She's not the woman David married. I've tried to help, but she's so proud. She won't listen to anyone." My hands clenched into fists, but I stayed silent. The day of the Thanksgiving arrived. The house was full of relatives, friends, and church members. Mama Grace moved through the crowd like a queen, hugging people, laughing, praying over the food. Everyone praised her. "Mama Grace, you've done so well. This family is blessed to have you." I stayed in the background, serving drinks, clearing plates, and then, in the middle of the celebration, one of David's cousins stood up to give a speech. "I just want to thank Mama Grace for always holding this family together. Even when things are hard, even when people don't appreciate her, she keeps loving and giving." The room erupted in applause. Mama Grace smiled humbly, her eyes wet with tears. "I only do what God has called me to do. This family is my life." David stood and hugged her. "Mummy, you're the best. We don't deserve you." I felt something crack inside me, but I didn't move. I didn't speak. I waited. Later that evening, after most of the guests had left, a few close family members sat in the living room, talking and laughing. Mama Grace was telling a story about how she had taught me to make moi moi. I told her, "Helen, you must soak the beans well," but she was in a hurry as usual. The moi moi came out hard like rock. She laughed, and everyone laughed with her. I smiled politely. Then David's aunt, Auntie Franca, who had been quiet all evening, spoke up. "Mama Grace, I'm confused. I thought Helen made the moi moi we ate today. It was perfect." Mama Grace's smile faltered for just a second. "Oh yes, she's improved. I've been training her well." Auntie Franca tilted her head. "But you just said she can't make it properly." The room went quiet. Mama Grace laughed nervously. "Ah, Auntie Franca, you know how it is. I was just joking." But Auntie Franca wasn't smiling. "You joke about your daughter-in-law a lot, Mama Grace. I've noticed." David shifted uncomfortably. "Auntie, Mummy is just being playful." "Playful?" Auntie Franca turned to me. "Helen, do you find it playful?" Everyone was staring at me now. I took a slow breath. "No, Auntie, I don't." Mama Grace's face went pale. "Helen, what are you saying? I've only ever tried to help you." "Help me?" My voice was calm, but my heart was pounding. "You told my daughter I don't love her. You told the church I don't know how to manage money. You've made me feel small in my own home for 7 years. That's not true." Mama Grace's voice rose, tears filling her eyes. "David, are you hearing this? After everything I've done for her." But before David could speak, Auntie Franca raised her hand. "Let her finish." I looked at Mama Grace, this woman who had smiled while breaking me. "You've never shouted at me. You've never hit me. But you've made sure that everyone thinks I'm not good enough. And you did it so sweetly that no one ever questioned you." Mama Grace began to cry. Soft, gentle tears. "I don't know why you're saying this, Helen. I've loved you like my own daughter." "No," I said quietly. "You've loved controlling me. There's a difference." The room was silent. David stood up, his face torn. "Helen, I think you're being unfair. My mother has sacrificed so much for us." I looked at him, and for the first time in years I didn't feel afraid of disappointing him. "Then let her stay," I said. "But I can't anymore." I walked out of the living room, past the shocked faces, past Mama Grace's tears, and into the bedroom. I didn't pack my bags that night. I didn't storm out. I just sat on the edge of the bed and breathed. For the first time in 7 years, I felt like I could breathe. The next morning, David came to me. He didn't apologize, but he didn't defend his mother either. "What do you want me to do, Helen?" "I want you to see me," I said. "Really see me. Not through her eyes. Through your own." It took weeks. Slowly, painfully, things began to shift. Mama Grace moved back to her own house. She still called. She still visited. But the grip she had on our home loosened. Some days David understood. Other days he didn't. But I stopped waiting for his permission to exist. Blessing asked me one night, "Mummy, are you happy now?" I kissed her forehead. "I'm getting there, my love." They still called Mama Grace a good woman. At church, in the neighborhood, in the family. And maybe she was to them, but she no longer controlled my life. And that was enough. Moral lesson. The kindest smiles can hide the cruelest intentions. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is trust your own truth, even when the whole world sees a different story. If you enjoy African folktales like this, please subscribe now so you do not miss the next story.